It's me, it's Queen Oseteru, and I'm here today with another exciting edition of Ask An Aquarius. So if you haven't already, please smack the subscribe button and hit the bell, okay? All right, so somebody said to me in the comments the other day that every time, this guy's an Aquarius, he said every time he meets somebody that he likes, it'll be going good, and then he gets the inclination to run. Nothing has happened. They haven't made him mad. Nothing went on. He just gets the inclination to run. And then four other people told me similar scenarios from either being an Aquarius or being the person that they ran from. So I was like, uh-oh. I've addressed this in other videos. I've talked about why Aquarius are not committal or things like that. But I wanted to speak on this one specifically. When Aquarius do something like that, that is a fear. That's all that is fear of commitment, and sometimes it's mixed with fear of abandonment and or depending on the situation. So a lot of times you will see that happen. Now, most Aquarius are the biggest flight risk in the beginning, because when you first meet an Aquarius, we're looking for the warning signs. And if we catch enough of them, we're going to head for the hills. But we don't always articulate to the other person this information, okay? That's often a problem. A lot of people come to me and say, I don't know why my Aquarius stopped talking to me. And some of the times they didn't make them mad. They didn't do anything to them. And they're looking at me like, why did this person just ditch me? Why'd they do this, And a lot of them are mad, and sometimes even mad at me. And I'm like, Aquarius does that. If they see something in the beginning that could be a problem later, we head for the hills. In the very beginning of the relationship, in the first, I would say 4 to 6 months, are when we're the biggest flight risk, because during that time period, we're looking to see what's really good, Now, if nothing has gone wrong, if the person has not given off any warning signs, there's no problem, and Aquarius runs, that's when it's fear. Fear of abandonment or fear of commitment. Many Aquarius are afraid to commit because we're waiting for somebody who's compatible. Not perfect, compatible. And so if something happens that makes us jumpy or antsy or anxious, that's when those fears start to come up. Okay? And then the other one, like I said before, is fear of abandonment. Some Aquarius and some people period, have been abandoned. So when a person has been abandoned already, they're less likely to trust another person, because it's like, you going to abandon me too. The Aquarius is also one who will, like I said, will flee. We're a flight risk. So we know that people are temporary in a lot of cases, at best, So the Aquarius will have a tendency to flee in those situations. The problem is that we don't verbalize any of this to the other person in most cases. In most cases, an Aquarius does not tell you what's wrong with them. And that's what a lot of people dislike. And I have to say, I dislike that myself. And I try not to do that to people. I try to tell people whatever it is. But a lot of people are just so frustrating. If you try to tell them something like that, they either go into hysterics, some form of emotional, outburst. Aquarius hate that. Or they go into trying to tell you why your perception is wrong, get mad at you, want to cuss you out. People don't handle that information well. Let me give you an example. If I met a woman and me and her were talking, and I noticed that her relationship with her child's father, for example, was more than she was letting on. Let's say I caught some little glimpse of something, maybe a text message or something like that, and I was like, nah, they got more going on than she letting on. I'm not going to say to her, yeah, I think you and your kid's father have more going on that meets the eye. If I'm certain about what I just saw, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to skate. We're going to have our dinner or do whatever it is we were doing, and then she just never going to see me again. I'm not going to say to her, hey, I think this. And the reason why, like I said, because she's either going to deny it or go into hysterics. Why? And as an Aquarius, I feel like, why go through that? Why go through it for somebody I'm not going to be with? I've decided that whatever I just saw was not copacetic, and I'm good. I'm not going to sit here and do this with you. So why am I going to explain that to you and go through a long, drawn out thought process and conversation and maybe arguing and maybe texting, whatever. Like one time, I'm going to be straight up with y'all. I stopped sleeping with this girl. I was messing with this girl. We had a couple of flings. I stopped sleeping with her because she was playing some kind of game and I didn't know what the game was and didn't want to play. Because she would call me and say, I'm coming over, and did not show up. And I'm like, what the hell? And then she called me again, and then like, I'm coming over, and then not show up. So by the second time, I was like, I'm not playing this game. I don't know what she doing. I don't know what's going on, but this unreliable back and forth shit, I'm good, And I cut it, but I didn't say to her, I'm cutting this. I just stopped calling her, and I stopped responding to her when she called me and texted me. So then she flips on me. She flips. She's like, I don't know why you don't answer the phone. All you want to do is lay up. Da, 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 da. And she goes off on me. And I'm sitting there like, wait a minute. And then I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, well, I told you I didn't want a relationship. And I'm like, what are you talking about? How is responding to someone and giving them consistency a relationship? It's not. If we supposed to meet at 2:30 and you can't come, saying I can't meet you is not a relationship. It's called common decency, common courtesy. And she couldn't see why this was a problem to me. So she wants me to go back and forth in an argument / conversation / whatever. Mind you, she was a Scorpio. So it's all this emotional energy. I blocked her so fast, your head would have spun, And that's what I'm saying. In that case, I tried to talk about it, and here we go with these hysterics. So Aquarius aren't really down with that, and I was trying to be nice, and I didn't try that too many more times after that. I just disappear now. Okay? So usually with an Aquarius, if something is very wrong, or they're afraid. Those are one of the two. And sometimes if you have a negative Aquarius, it's because they're lying and they have something going on that you don't know about. Case in point, I had an example from this guy. He was in this relationship with this girl. They had been seeing each other for 6 months. All of a sudden, he disappeared. Okay? Gone for the weekend, came back. They resumed the relationship. 4 months later, gone for the weekend, came back. But he didn't say where he was going. He didn't even say he was going anywhere. He just disappeared and came back. Come to find out, because the last time he left, he was gone for a week. So my friend was like, you know what? I'm done with this. So she left it alone. Come to find out, homeboy had another family. He had a family. I ain't going to say another family because my friend wasn't his family. They were just dating. But he had an actual family in the Dominican Republic. And that's where he was going. He was going to see his family. So she's wondering, why is my Aquarius disappearing? And then the last time didn't come back, and she's like, you're like, what is going on? We were fine. We were happy. We were good. But he was one of those negative Aquariuses who had lied and had a whole family. And that's why he disappeared. So it's always something along those lines. But whatever it is not good. If your Aquarius disappears, it's not good. And the thing about it is that an Aquarius who disappears, you can't drag us back. As a matter of fact, when you give chase, it annoys us and it makes us run further away. We do not like that. If an Aquarius stops speaking to you and you start calling them and emailing them, we're going to block you. And if you keep on doing it, the more you do it, the more irritated we become. And the less of a chance that we'll come back. Because remember when I told you, a lot of Aquarius ebb and flow. So a lot of us will leave and come back. We'll go through that revolving door thing. So if there's a chance of us coming back, we'll come back on our own. We will. But if you have been chasing us and annoying us, we're not going to come back even if we want to, because we're going to be like, nah, all that crap going to start over again. I'm not going back. Okay? So the other part of this was the person that asked me the question said to me, because I told him it was fear. In his particular case, I said, this is fear. And he said, well, what should I do about it? If you have fear of abandonment issues, it's a matter of conceptualize. It's a matter of mentally internalizing it, because this is the bottom line. You're going to have to come to terms with the fact that everybody will eventually leave you. Everybody. Everybody. I don't care who it is. If it's your mother, if it's your child, it's your grandma, your best friend. Eventually, you're going to be abandoned by everybody. When it's time for you to go to heaven or Valhalla or, the river Styx or wherever you think you're going on the other side, wherever that other side is for you, you're going by yourself. Okay? So eventually, everybody's going to abandon you. Your children are going to move out of the house. Your parents are going to pass over. You might pass over. Your friends are going to move. Everybody is going to abandon you eventually. You have to come away from being afraid of being by yourself. Come away from being afraid of being on your own. You have to start to enjoy your own company and be okay with the fact that people are temporary at best. At best. And the only way you're going to be okay with that is by thinking about it, journaling about it, coming to terms with it, reading books on abandonment issues. You see, you have to do some work on it so that you can come to terms with the fact that, yeah, that's going to happen. If you Google abandonment issues right now, you're going to find a million articles to help you work through that particular fear. You have to do the work, get the information, and work through the fear. And just that, you have to come to terms with that. Everybody is going to leave you. Nobody is going to be with you forever except your creator. That's it. So that part is easy to explain, but not easy to pull off. You have to work on that part. Okay? And fear of commitment. Fear of commitment is much more common for the Aquarius. And the Aquarius has to work through the fear of commitment. And it's only going to happen when you're ready. So for an Aquarius who's afraid of commitment, I would recommend reading up on commitment issues, figuring out in therapy, where did your commitment issues start at? What is it that you're afraid of? Reading books that shift that vibration, reading books on love and opening up your spirit and intimacy. Marianne Williamson has great books on that, by the way. Great books on that. But these kind of things, websites, YouTube videos, those are the kind of things you need to do. You need to address your fear of commitment. Figure out first, why do you have a fear of commitment? Because most of us that have a fear of commitment is usually because of bad relationships, either with our parents or with our lovers or both. So you have to heal that. You have to heal whatever happened. And then you'll be able to trust yourself to make a commitment again. And I understand that fear because I have that fear too. I'm working through that, but I'm healing that particular fear right now. That's exactly one of the ones I'm working on in my soulmate class. So it can be done. You just have to do the work to work through it. For me, it's like I feel it. Like I feel it strongly. Whenever I'm doing soulmate work, in my book, or I'm journaling or something, and they'll tell you to imagine yourself with your soulmate. Imagine yourselves on the beach. Imagine yourselves on vacation. And I'll start to imagine it, and then I'll feel my heart like the anxiety in my heart, and I'm like, calm down, it's okay. And then when I follow the feeling, and I'm like, why are you anxious? What are you feeling? When I follow that feeling, that's exactly what it is. What if I commit to the wrong person? What if I commit to somebody and it goes south again? What if it's the wrong situation? I don't want to be crying again. I don't want to be in another situation with somebody who I don't belong with. I don't want to be with somebody else I got to leave. I don't want to be with somebody I got to start over again with, And when I ask myself that question, that's all the stuff that starts to come up. So what am I doing with it? Working with it. Like, okay, it doesn't have to be like that. What if you meet somebody that you do like? What if you meet somebody you're willing to work with? What if you meet somebody who is compatible. Ooh, imagine that. You've never done that before. Imagine that. How would that change things, Queen, if the person was actually compatible with you? Oh, that shifts the whole energy. If they're actually compatible, I'm like, wow. I never even thought about that or like realized, yeah, the other ones weren't compatible. No wonder it didn't work. You see? So the way to work with those fears as the Aquarius that's going through them is to do those kind of therapeutic, spiritual healing things I talked about. It's the only way. Now, as the person who is in love with the Aquarius or in like with the Aquarius and the Aquarius acting simple, you know, the only thing I can tell you is that the Aquarius is the proverbial runner. So if you can get it's nothing you can do to bring them back. Honestly, if you've been dealing with an Aquarius and they've ran off, it's nothing you can do to bring them back except for just wait and see if they come back. And if they come back, start to have open, honest conversations with them and work through their fears. Now, that's not something that I'm sure a lot of you want to hear while you're waiting for them to come back and they off somewhere acting stupid, off somewhere being fearful. But that's the only way you really can do it is wait to see if they come back. Now, me personally, I wouldn't wait for them. I would be open to them coming back, but I wouldn't wait. I don't wait for nobody. I would be open to them returning, but I wouldn't wait for them to return. And if they return, then I would have those conversations. If they didn't return, I move on to somebody else. I wouldn't play that game with Aquarius. I really wouldn't, because that's something they have to work through. So it's nothing you can do to help them work through it. It's nothing you can do to speed up their process of working through it. All you can do is leave the door open, and if they come back through the door, then deal with it when they come back through the door. Because once they come back through the door, you can pretty much deal with it. Once you have their ear, you can talk about it. You can work through it. But don't get hysterical. Don't start yelling. Don't do none of those kind of things that turns us right off. That hysterical stuff turns us right off. Yelling at us turns us off. Anything along those lines. But if your Aquarius is in that space, that's the only thing you really can do with it. And like I said, I wouldn't sit and wait for them to come back. I would just leave the door open, and if they came back, then I would address it. But in the meantime, I would put attention to something else. I would talk to other people. I would date other people. I would just move on with my life. And if they came back forward, then I would deal with it then. Because like I said before, you don't know if they're going to ebb and flow or not. They may never come back. Some Aquarius leave and never come back. And then other ones do come back. It depends on what made them leave in the first place. If it was fear of abandonment or fear of a commitment, sometimes they don't come back. Because that fear in them is so strong that, like I said, that palpitations in their chest is so strong that it will keep them. They'll be like, nah, I'm going to just stay in my shell. I'm not even going to do this. And then we'll start telling ourselves all the reasons why it's a bad idea, all the reasons why it's not going to work, all the reasons why we need to head for the hills. Okay? So if you're the person that's having the issue with the Aquarius, that's what I would do. I would be open-minded. I'd be open-hearted, but I would not chase them. I would not wait for them. I would just, take a hands-off approach. And if they came back forward, I would deal with it then. And when they came back forward, I would have those conversations open and honest as best we could. Okay? So that is the Aquarius. Take care.